the World Health Organization released the findings of a study, and apparently there's an increased risk of death from working 55 hours or more per week. Damn. So in other words, being overworked kills. If there's one thing I know for sure, this country is as overworked gets. We are obsessed with work in this country. Almost probably the majority of your waking hours are spent at work. So let me read you some of this from The Hill. A World Health Organization study found that people who work 55 hours or more per week face a greater risk of dying from strokes or heart disease. In a Monday statement, the World Health Organization shared a study that found that working 55 hours or more per week is linked with an estimated 35% higher risk of stroke and 17% higher risk of dying from, I don't know how to say that word, ischemic heart disease. In 2016, 745,000 people died from stroke and ischemic heart disease around the world. According to the World Health Organization, a 29% increase from, I think, the year 2000. So, I mean, you could say, hey, there's a correlation causation issue here, so maybe there really isn't a direct line, but I think it's pretty intuitive to imagine that when you're overworked, it's terrible for you. When you're overworked, you have more stress, and that increased stress leads to other health issues. So I really do think there is a direct connection. And, what would we do to fix this? I mean, we could have the broader conversation about really reworking the global economy and our own economy and, trying to come up with a different way we live our lives where perhaps the economic stuff is not on the forefront. It's not primary to our existence. We could have those macro level, broader conversations. But there are, effectively shortcuts to improving this stuff. One thing would be for the US to catch up to the rest of the developed world in the sense that we get at least a month paid vacation by law every year. That would be phenomenal. Another thing we could do is just reduce the work hours per week. And by the way, there's some studies that say we can reduce the number of hours we work and increase the productivity. Because if you get more leisure time, it might actually make it so that when you're at work, you are more productive because you're refreshed and you've reset yourself and you're just naturally more productive. The other thing we could do is go to the 4-day work week, which is something that, we've been thinking about and talking about a lot recently in some left circles. I've done a couple segments on it. I mean, this is what has to be done. And now it's not just a matter of hey, we prefer that. Now it's also a matter of you might not die if we do this. You might actually greatly improve your health, your physical health, and probably your mental health as well. So it's interesting to get some concrete numbers and facts to this reality that overworking is terrible for you. Because it really is true that in our culture, it's the Protestant work ethic was ingrained in all of us, even those of us that aren't Protestant. I wasn't raised Protestant, but Protestant work ethic of work is valuable in and of itself. No matter what you're doing, it is good. Turns out that's kind of bullshit. And you actually should care a lot about your work-leisure balance. And everybody, I think, in this country, or most people, lean way too much on the side of working and downplaying how much leisure we get. And that really needs to change. And it needs to change for our mental health, and now it needs to change for our physical health as well.